Captured and alone on a foreign world, she's more than just a prisoner, she's a survivor. The alien woman's plea is desperate and clear: I'll give you strong children. But what does she really want? Is it a bargain for freedom, or something deeper? When survival, hope, and an impossible bond collide, what future will they forge together? This is a story of strength, sacrifice, and the unexpected power of humanity. The air was thick with humidity, the kind that clung to your skin and made every breath a slow labor. I had been walking the perimeter of the compound for hours, the dull thud of my boots on cracked concrete marking time with the rising sun. It was another day in this remote facility. Nothing new, nothing to break the monotony except for the woman in the holding cell. Her name was Vela, or at least that's what she told me. She wasn't like any prisoner I'd ever seen. Her skin shimmered with a faint iridescence under the harsh fluorescent lights, and her eyes were a deep violet, large and full of unspoken stories. The sort of eyes that looked at you and saw everything, yet revealed nothing. I was assigned as one of the guards tasked with overseeing the alien detainees, their so-called threat to humanity. Officially, they were held for study, for understanding. But off the record, many of us knew it was more about control and fear. Vela's story was whispered among the staff. Found wandering the wastelands after her ship crashed, alone and vulnerable, except for the faint pulse of hope in her words. She refused to cooperate at first, clamming up under interrogation, her fierce silence guarding secrets that no one was meant to know. But then, one afternoon, everything changed. I was assigned to escort her back from the exercise yard when the unexpected happened. Her eyes caught mine as we walked in silence down the narrow corridor. Suddenly, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper but carrying a weight that made me stop. "My children," she said. "Hungry." I looked at her, perplexed. I do not know what will happen to them. The others took them away when I was captured. They are small, fragile. Please, you must help. It was the first time she'd broken her silence like that. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. I found myself thinking about those children, where they were if they were safe, and what it meant to be a mother separated from her offspring on an alien planet. I knew then I couldn't just turn away. The facility was strict, heavily guarded. Rules were rules, and any sympathy for aliens was dangerous. But I made a decision that surprised even me. I began sneaking small food parcels to her during my shifts: fruits, vegetables, anything I could smuggle without raising suspicion. She accepted them with a quiet gratitude, eyes flickering with a fragile hope. One night, after the compound had quieted, Vela's voice found me again. "If you help me, if you protect me, I will give you strong children." The words hit me like a thunderclap. "What do you mean?" I asked cautiously. Her gaze locked on mine, unwavering. "My species, our strength is in our children. They carry the legacy of survival and power. If I bear children with a human, they will be strong. Stronger than either of us." I was skeptical, but her conviction was undeniable. Days turned to weeks. Our strange alliance deepened in secrecy and necessity. She told me about her homeworld, a planet of towering forests, purple skies and fierce storms. A place ravaged by conflict, forcing her to flee with hope as her only companion. She spoke of the genetic gifts of her people: strength, resilience, heightened senses. Traits passed down through generations. And then there were the children, her hope and her curse. But there was danger everywhere. The facility's director was growing suspicious. Rumors of a guard showing sympathy spread like wildfire, and whispers turned to threats. One evening, as I was leaving my post, a shadowy figure grabbed me. "Stay away from the alien," he warned. "You're playing with fire." I wanted to protest, but the fear in his eyes told me how deep this went. Vela was waiting for me in her cell when I returned. "We must leave," she said urgently. "If they find out about us, they will take everything. The children, me, you." I knew she was right. The next days were a blur of planning and risk. With my knowledge of the compound's routines, I devised a plan to smuggle her out. It wasn't just about escape, it was about survival for both of us. The night of the escape, adrenaline coursed through my veins. I bypassed security cameras, disabled alarms, and slipped her through hidden passages. The world outside was vast and cold, a stark contrast to the sterile walls we'd fled. As we ran beneath the stars, Vela turned to me, eyes shining with a mix of fear and hope. "If I give you children, they will carry our worlds inside them," she whispered. "Strong, brave, a new beginning." I didn't know if I believed her, but in that moment, it didn't matter. We reached a small cabin on the edge of the wilderness, a place I'd prepared for just such an emergency. It was rough, isolated, and far from prying eyes. There, Vela's strength began to shine, not just in her words, but in her actions. She hunted and gathered with an agility and skill that left me breathless. She taught me about her world, about survival in ways I'd never known. Days turned into weeks. Our bond grew, not just out of necessity, but something deeper. I found myself protecting her, caring for her in ways I hadn't imagined. She, in turn, began to trust me. Then one night, beneath a sky bursting with stars, she spoke again. "You must understand," she said softly, "our children are the key. Not just to survival, but to hope. To a future where humans and my people can stand together." Her hand found mine. "I want to give you that future. Strong children, children of two worlds." The weight of her promise settled heavy in my heart. But hope came with a price. The authorities were closing in. News of the escape had spread, and a manhunt was underway. We had little time. Vela looked at me with determination. "We must leave. Now." As dawn broke, we slipped into the forest, hearts pounding, uncertain of what awaited us. The journey ahead was unknown, filled with danger and doubt. But one thing was clear: whatever happened next, we were bound by a promise of strength, survival, and a future built together. The forest was both sanctuary and prison. Towering trees stretched their limbs toward the sky, leaves whispering secrets with every gust of wind. The air was cooler here, scented with earth and pine, a sharp contrast to the sterile confinement we'd fled. Yet the unknown pressed down on me, the heavy weight of uncertainty and danger. Vela moved with grace and purpose beside me, every step a lesson in alien survival. Her eyes flicked constantly, alert to every sound and shadow. Even after weeks together, I was still learning the intricacies of her world: how to read the language of the forest, how to track, how to find water in the driest places. My human senses were limited, but hers were finely tuned by generations born under strange stars. The nights were the hardest. Cold seeped into my bones, but I was more haunted by the silence, the absence of the hum of machinery, the guarded voices of soldiers. Instead, there were the distant howls of unknown creatures, and the restless stirrings of the children, hiding somewhere deep within the forest. "I must find them," Vela said one morning, determination hardening her violet gaze. "I cannot bear the thought of them alone." I nodded, understanding her anguish. The promise she had made to me, the promise of strong children, was more than a genetic claim. It was a vow born from desperation, from a mother's fierce love and a refugee's hope. We set out in different directions, Vela searching for her lost offspring, me keeping watch. Days passed with little sign. I feared the worst, that the children had been taken far away, lost to cruel hands or worse. Then, one evening, we heard them. Soft cries, distant but unmistakable. Vela's face lit with relief and fierce urgency. They are alive. Guided by her instincts and the faint calls, we pressed deeper into the forest. When we finally found the children, my breath caught. 3 small forms huddled together beneath a broken tree, gaunt and frightened, their eyes wide with shock at seeing us. Vela dropped to her knees, gathering them into her arms, murmuring soft words in a language I didn't understand but felt in my bones. I approached slowly, hands raised to show no threat. The children looked at me with a mix of fear and curiosity, their features bearing strange alien beauty, delicate yet strong. One of the boys, no older than 10, stepped forward hesitantly. "Are you human?" he asked, his voice trembling but clear. "Yes," I said gently. "I am." He looked back at his mother, then nodded. Bringing them back to the cabin was a quiet, tense journey. The children clung to Vela, their bond unbroken despite the ordeal. That night, around a small fire, I watched as Vela cared for her children with tenderness and fierce protection. She had told me her species' survival depended on strong bloodlines, but I saw that what truly mattered was love, a universal force transcending worlds. In the weeks that followed, life settled into an uneasy rhythm. Vela taught the children to adapt, how to speak some human words, how to recognize edible plants, how to trust me. I, in turn, did everything I could to shield them from the world's dangers. Supplies were scarce, and every day was a test of endurance. Then came the day Vela revealed her plan, her desperate plea for our future. "We must mate," she said quietly, the weight of her words hanging in the air. I stared at her, heart pounding. It was a proposal born from survival, not romance, yet it held the possibility of something neither of us fully understood. "If we do this," she continued, "our children will carry the strength of both species. They will be powerful, able to survive what we cannot." Her gaze searched mine for fear or rejection but found only honesty. We took tentative steps toward this uncertain future. The nights were awkward, filled with questions and fears, but also an undeniable connection that grew between us. Vela shared stories of her culture, of rituals and traditions surrounding childbirth and lineage. Her touch was gentle, her trust profound. For the first time, I saw her not as a captive alien or a source of fear, but as a woman full of hope and courage. Pregnancy came swiftly. Vela's body changed, growing stronger and more radiant despite the harsh conditions. She carried our unborn children with a fierce determination. The children looked to me with wonder, their mother's glow a beacon of hope. But danger was never far behind. One night, as we slept, the distant rumble of engines shattered the peace. Search parties were closing in. Vela awoke with a start, eyes blazing. "We cannot run forever," she said. "We must fight." We fortified the cabin, turning it into a refuge. When the soldiers came, they were met not with fear but with resolve. Though outnumbered, we fought with every ounce of strength, Vela's alien agility and my human grit combining in unexpected ways. The battle was brutal, but we held them off long enough to send a distress signal to an underground network of sympathizers, humans and aliens alike who believed in coexistence. Rescue came in the form of a ragtag team led by a woman named Kara, a former military medic turned activist. She looked at Vela and me, then at the children, her eyes softening. "You're not alone," she said. "We'll get you to safety." Safe for now, but not free. We traveled under cover of darkness, heading for a sanctuary rumored to protect alien refugees. During the journey, Vela's labor began. The delivery was difficult but miraculous. Under Kara's skilled hands, 2 children were born, half human, half alien, small beings glowing faintly with inherited strength. Their cries were a song of survival. Holding them, I felt the weight of everything, the fear, the hope, the promise. Vela looked at me, tears in her eyes. "They are ours," she said softly. "Strong children, strong future." In the sanctuary, we found others like us, alien refugees and human allies building a new community. Our family grew, nurtured by love and determination. Looking back, I understood what she meant when she said she'd give me strong children. They were not just genetic miracles, they were symbols of unity, resilience, and the boundless power of hope. And in a universe divided by fear and prejudice, that was the strongest force of all.